down on them. On behalf of my husband, David Berman, who's sitting there with my boys, and my parents, Judy and Michael Steinhardt, who I think you've met, I want to welcome you to this wonderful afternoon. We're especially honored to be with Elie Wiesel, just a few days before his 80th birthday. Are you allowed to say that? For a man, his 80th birthday. This event is a little unusual because it celebrates not one, but two organizations, the Jewish Values Network and Birthright Israel. But in many ways, there's a beautiful link between these two unconventional groups. Their success highlights the importance of entrepreneurial philanthropy and what can happen when people dare to dream and work hard to make their dreams become a reality. Let me explain. My father and Charles Bronfman dreamed of a transformational, free, 10-day educational trip to Israel for all Jewish young adults. This seemed far-fetched to almost everyone in the Jewish community. But 9 years later, nearly 200,000 people have gone on Birthright. 200,000 people have had their Jewish identity transformed, their connection to the Jewish people and to the land of Israel solidified. When people hear that I'm Michael Steinhardt's daughter, no one stops me anymore to ask me for a stock tip. They want to tell me about their sons and daughters and how they've been transformed by their Birthright trip, and how grateful they are for this opportunity. And now, as Birthright Israel continues to take thousands of participants to Israel each year, the opportunity to engage these young adults in ongoing post-trip experiences have paved the way for the next great area of Birthright, Birthright Israel Next. The director of this program, Rabbi Daniel Brenner, where is he? There he is here if any of you want to talk to him more about this endeavor, which is positioned to create amazing post-trip opportunities. For the people in this room, myself included, who are about to roll up their sleeves and make the Jewish Values Network a nationally recognized entity, Birthright and its groundbreaking work is our guiding light. The purpose of the Jewish Values Network, which was founded by Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, is to bring Jewish values to the mainstream culture through television, radio, print, and on the internet. There is no better person to bring these values to Main Street America than Shmuley, who is beloved from his Shalom in the Home television show, as well as his daily radio show on Oprah Winfrey's Oprah and Friends Network. Our first national campaign is called Turn Friday Night into Family Night. Shmuley's groundbreaking idea was a finalist in Brandeis University's 2008 Bronfman Prize. One of our goals is to bring the Jewish Friday night dinner experience to all American families that are both Jewish and non-Jewish alike. It's hard to believe that 80% of American kids don't sit down for a family dinner regularly, but it's true. And year after year, studies conducted at Columbia have shown that the more children have dinner with their parents, the less likely they are to smoke, to drink, to use illegal drugs, or engage in underage sex. What could be more important than convincing American families to sit down together once a week, to turn off the television, to turn off their telephones, and have dinner together? And as we all know, so many Jewish families will only begin to take Friday night seriously if America takes it seriously first. Our first board meeting is on Wednesday, November 5th, and I'm counting on many of you in this room to help us turn this dream into a reality. And we hope that many of you will help us financially with this ambitious project. Shmuley and I would love to answer questions about how we plan to turn Friday night into Shabbat and bring Jewish values to the mainstream. Again, a big thank you for joining us today. And now I'd like to introduce Shmuley, who's going to do the real introduction to Professor Wiesel.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Let me begin with some light, high Holy Day humor. You know the story of the man who goes to the synagogue, he wants to pray there on Yom Kippur, but he lacks a ticket. So he goes to the guard and he says, I don't want to go in other than to visit one of my friends. I have to give him his car keys, he's going to be towed. So the guard at the front of the synagogue says, I'll let you in there without the ticket. But if I, God forbid, catch you praying. I said it was very light humor. Let me welcome you all to this very special afternoon. First and foremost, let me thank Michael and Judy. Michael and Judy Steinhardt are princes and princesses of the Jewish people. Their name has become synonymous with mega philanthropy. Their home, quite literally, is open to so many worthy causes, such as Birthright Israel Today and the Jewish Values Network. I, having served for 10 years as a rabbi at Oxford University, and given the things that I today do in the media, I have the great honor of meeting a lot of great men and women. And I would really count Michael Steinhardt on a list of the top 5 great men that I have met. The way he comports himself so humbly, his love of youth, his absolute devotion and obsession with the Jewish future. And Judy, right at his side, has always been a great inspiration to me. I also want to point out that we know Michael Steinhardt and Judy Steinhardt as great philanthropists, but I know their family, and I know them as parents and grandparents. And that's what they truly cherish. When I first came to know Michael, what moved me was wherever you saw him putting up a building or sponsoring some great center, it was always the Judy and Michael Steinhardt Center. He always honored his wife, and rightly so. And then their greatest legacy is really their 3 kids. David, Daniel, and Sarah, and I've had the great fortune of being friendly with all of them, and Sarah has been my partner in so much of what I've done over the past few years. And her husband, David, really is one of my dearest friends and one of the most devoted friends a man can have. I'm very grateful to the family for everything that they've done, and God bless you in the coming year. I just want to quickly point out some special guests who are here today. My colleague from Oprah and Friends, Dr. Mehmet Oz, is here with his wife, Lisa. Dr. Oz, as you all know, is America's most famous doctor. He was just recently voted 100 most influential people in the entire world. Many people find him incredibly sexy, but not as sexy as his wife. And they are also very devoted parents and real family people who have been at our sharpest table many times. Thank you very much for joining us. I would spend the whole afternoon pointing out all the unique people that are here, so maybe we'll do that later as we say hello to people after Professor Wiesel goes back home. My friends, Professor Elie Wiesel will turn 80, God willing, in about a week. So this is a great honor for us to spend this day with him just before his 80th birthday. Without any serious belief that I could be refuted, I would say that Professor Wiesel is one of the 3 most respected human beings alive. That rare pantheon that would include Nelson Mandela, the Dalai Lama, and Elie Wiesel. It's a rarefied air that few men ever attain. It only comes when you have devoted your entire life to the cause of the human family, where you have even transcended parochialism in order to focus on the great questions of human existence and the great relationships that all of us have in life, the God-man relationship, the family relationship, the communal relationship. In just the next 2 or 3 minutes, I would like to view Professor Wiesel's contribution through the prism of Jewish values. Let me begin with a little story. About 7 years ago, I took Elie Wiesel and his wife Marion as my guest to Denise Rich's Angel Ball. Denise would have been here today, but she wasn't feeling well. And we had Michael Jackson at our table, other celebrities. And as people came to say hello to Michael Jackson, I'll never forget this, Lance Bass of NSYNC pushed his way through, clawed his way through, and I thought, oh my gosh, this guy is like pushing and elbowing to get to Michael Jackson. He finally reaches me at the table and says to me, do you think that I could possibly speak to Elie Wiesel? That's not my phone. It's someone's phone. Okay. When I asked him why, he said to me, I've had many struggles in life. I was raised to believe that you're not supposed to struggle, that you're supposed to accept things. I only later discovered many things about his personal life that many of us have read in the newspapers. He said, I love this Jewish tradition of struggle, which he highlights in his books. And he spoke to Professor Wiesel that night. Later, when I hosted Professor Wiesel at Oxford, 2,000 non-Jewish students, we gave out tickets to only 2,000 students. They disappeared within a day. He came back 4 years later, we had an even larger audience. They now teach a course of his books at Oxford University. This shows you the capacity for an exponent of Jewish values, because the Jewish community has never in history had a Jew as high profile as Elie Wiesel, who's devoted his life to taking Jewish stories, Jewish ideas, and the Jewish tradition of wrestling with God to the mainstream public. Here you see that Judaism has been misunderstood by each and every one of us. We see it as a parochial tradition which is applicable to Jews only. When I was reading this newspaper story about 2 years ago, I was shocked. It was in the Jewish Week. I'm reading about my dear friend Michael Steinhardt, and Michael says, I blew $100 million on Jewish programming because I didn't get the result that I wanted aside from Birthright. Birthright is the most successful Jewish educational program in the history of the world. I was fascinated by the comment, and I went to see him about it.